This time, we're going to take item number 9, which is the approval of the minutes of the March 26, 2018 meeting. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hutchison?
I move that we approve the minutes of the March 26, 2018 board meeting.
We have a second. Mr. Cates, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hands. And that passes unanimously. I'm abstaining. I was not there. So thank you very much. And we'll now have a welcome and brief overview of Dutch Fork Middle School by Mr. Vernon Sava, who is the principal here. And honestly, we love coming here because we always have great recognition. So we may just make it a standing rule. We come to Dutch Fork Middle School. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
I want to start by thanking the entire board, Dr. Hefner, and the entire executive staff for giving me a moment to speak about the greatness of Dutch Fork Middle School. Dutch Fork Middle School is a phenomenal school in which, prior to becoming the principal, I had taught here for 6 years. Went to Irmo Middle School for a few years, came back, and over the past 3 years, there's been some changes with the instructional focus, and that is through the implementation of STEAM. And on the slide, I know you have to turn your head, I'm sorry. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's our approach of integrating and making the content interdisciplinary in these areas. In doing so, I want to make sure tonight that we highlight some students, and there's going to be a student-led demonstration. But first, I want to put some context into what you're going to see from them. Students at Dutch Fork Middle School continuously work to be college and career ready for the opportunities of the 21st century. In preparing students, our teachers intentionally focus on increased opportunities for students to experience the 4 C's. The 4 C's are collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication. The 4 C's require students to develop and utilize skills that are necessary for success. In addition, the 4 C's are embedded into the design process, which drives our instructional approach and provides students with a process to engage, plan, act, and reflect with the learning. Within this process, students engage by listening, reading, and defining a goal or problem. Students plan by imagining, brainstorming, and analyzing the given information. Students act by creating, experimenting, and solving the problem. And students reflect by checking, redesigning, and improving the product. What you're going to see tonight are the 4 C's in the Dutch Fork Middle School design process in action. Please welcome, you met them a little bit before, our VEX Robotics Team 2533A. All right, they're going to wave as I say their name. These 3 students, Cody Bennett, Sullivan French, and Paul Kupfer, as you heard earlier, recently became state championships at the State VEX Robotics Tournament in March. They are coached by Miss Robin Amick, who was unable to attend. I think she felt the Eagles concert was a little more her taste tonight, so I apologize. As state champions, these young men will go on to represent Dutch Fork Middle School, District 5, and the state of South Carolina at the World Championship VEX Tournament in Louisville, Kentucky at the end of the month. They will be competing against representatives from 18 other countries. At this time, I want to thank Dr. Al Gates and the Center for their continued support and resources and funding for this endeavor. I also want to thank their parents, if you'd stand up and be recognized, for your continued support through the season. And for ensuring that they were here tonight. This team has created the robot known as Little Gomez. Sullivan is holding Little Gomez now, named in honor of a teammate that moved out of the state earlier this year. Please watch and pay attention to how they incorporate the 4 C's and the design process into this demonstration. Without further ado, I give you Robotics Team 2533A.
So like you said, our robot is named after our team member, Angela Gomez, who moved away. Little Gomez, and he always had a mohawk on, so that's why that blue thing is on our robot. So we each have to work together very well on our team to be able to succeed, because we all have various different roles. So my role on the team was to do most of the coding for the robot to make it communicate with the controllers And at the beginning of each competition series, there's a 15-second autonomous where the robot runs by itself with nothing to do with the controllers. So I had a big part in programming that. Paul, right there, wrote the engineering notebook, which was a very detailed description of our design process. And the point of the game is to put these cones onto the yellow cones onto the colored cones and move them into the designated goals. So they can go ahead and demonstrate this if they want. And so I forgot to mention Sullivan French. He also was a builder, and he helped control the robot as well as Paul. So we would like to remind you that Thursday night at Buffalo Wildlings from 6 to 9 p.m. we will have a fundraiser to help support our trip to Louisville, Kentucky for the World Championship. So if you could come to that, that would be very helpful. So you just have to come. We'll be demonstrating the robot. There'll be prizes, and you just have to mention us, and yeah, it's a fundraiser for us. So yeah, thank you.
Just a side note, in speaking with Ms. Amick earlier, she said that there have been over hundreds of modifications made to this robot, and that's part of our design process, always improving and trying to get it to be the best it can be. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 11, which is our superintendent's report, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hefner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board.